Okay, it's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from BrewDog and it's a bottle of their Nanny State. Insanely hopped Imperial mild, coming in at 0.5% ABV. Check that one out. This one's referring to the, believe it's the tax of beer under 2% ABV. There's the BrewDog cap. It's that whole Nanny State government kind of rubbish you hear. They kind of, I don't know, they if you brew a beer under 2.5% ABV, you don't have to pay much tax, and blah. And they just called their beer Nanny State because it seems to be we are in one big nanny state. We are just ruled by the state. Beer was sent to us by our great and lovely channel sponsors, beersofeurope.co.uk. They are the largest online beer store in the UK. There's beers from all over Europe, from Germany to Belgium to France to, there's some Polish beer on there as well. American beer, there's some Mexican beer, there's some great beers. If you want something you can't find in a supermarket, check out beersofeurope.co.uk. On with the review then. Beer in the glass is really dark. Very dark beer. Deep mahogany coloured beer with a 1 to 2 finger slightly off white tan-coloured head. Aroma. Oh blimey. Oh blimey, that is so hoppy. Ha! That is like pine needles. You put your nose to this beer and it's like the pine needles are shooting up your nose. That is so hoppy. Citrusy, grapefruity, loads of lemon, loads of lime, loads of apricot. I've got to dive into this one. This is very intriguing. Cheers. What? And as I expected, what I expected from this and what I got are exactly the same things. Because this beer is 0.5% ABV, when you brew a beer, you put the malt in. If you're new to beer, if you're experienced, you know where I'm going with this straight away. You add a lot of malt. The yeast, it boils up the malt, it opens up, you add your yeast. When it cools down to a certain temperature, the yeast eats the sugars from the wort. After you've drained off all and got rid of all of that kind of malt, the wort that's left is a sugary solution, it's a sugary water if you like. The yeast eats that, turns it into alcohol. So hence you're stuck with that sweetness because you've added all that sugar. And to balance that, you add hops, which is bitter. And that's where you get your kind of bittersweet balance from. Now, normally with a beer, they can be very unbalanced in a sweet malty way. This is the other way. This is very unbalanced in that it's almost, there's next to no sweetness at all. So just a small bit of sweetness and that much bitterness. Loads and loads of bitterness. It completely outweighs it. So it's extremely drinkable, number one, because it hasn't got any of that kind of big chewy maltiness to it. So it's very thin, like water. And it's like, yeah, it's like you've added a shed load of hops to water. And it's quite unpleasant, if I'm honest. It's quite an unpleasant beer. BrewDog probably brewed this as a statement to the state we live in these days, the way the world is in 2013, 2014. It's just, they call it a democracy, but it's not really. Most people don't even vote, but yet the small minority that do get the government back in. If nobody was to vote, you wouldn't see these people, but you always get the odd few that decide to vote for these people. And then hence the nanny state. We're left with this nanny state, with these people who think they know better when they've been born with a silver spoon in their mouths. BrewDog Nanny state then. Rating. For the statement and the understanding of what they're trying to achieve here, BrewDog, I get it. Everybody's fed up of tax. Everybody's fed up of being taxed to the gonads. But in terms of flavour in this beer, whew, it's blindingly awful. I'd struggle to give this a 1. I'll give it a 1 because I've got to give it something. 1 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. BrewDog Nanny State. 0.5% insanely hot Imperial mild. It's up to you if you want to go and buy it. But you can get it from Beers of Europe if you want to. Put your comments in the comments box. Please subscribe to our daily beer reviews and cheers.